How's it going, guys? Dynamite here, coming to you as always from the Digital Warfare 24/7 forums, and I'm going to have to be somewhat more subdued in my manner this evening due to the fact that I'm recording this rather late at night, and the members of my apartment complex are doubtless not going to be appreciative of my raising my voice at this late hour. Now, without further ado, what I want to do this evening is sort of give an overview of my thoughts on the Uprising map packs, starting off with the one that I'm on now, which will be Studio. Now, to introduce the gameplay real quick, this is actually some search and destroy gameplay. It's a game mode that I don't think I've ever posted any gameplay of before, and the only reason why I'm posting it now is because I was playing the Mosh Pit playlist to get experience over different game modes on the new Uprising maps. And I ended up putting together a pretty good score. I'm going to end up coming out 22-2, which is a great score for search and destroy. And in one of the later rounds, I think it's round 5 or round 6 maybe, I end up in a 1v5 situation, and you guys are going to have to see how that ends up playing out. But as I said, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about Studio. Now, I had very high expectations for this map from how fun it was in Black Ops 1, but the difference in the light machine guns, the much lower recoil that they have in Black Ops 2, along with the snipers being so much easier to use in Black Ops 2, really makes this map a bit more frustrating to play. I'm finding that a lot of players tend to stick up to the perches that surround the B flag area, and really the chaotic sort of hectic rushing for the middle, rushing to gain points of Overwatch. It really doesn't feel quite like the Black Ops 1 version did. Another thing contributing to this, I think, is the fact that the spawns don't feel quite right. They haven't felt right in general for me on any of the Black Ops 2 maps since the, not this last patch, but 2 patches ago when they changed the spawn influencers. I really feel like the original spawn system was far superior, so that's something that has me a little disappointed, since I was expecting this map to sort of be like the crown jewel of this map release. But another thing that's kind of a letdown for me is that the map feels rather cheesy and contrived. It's sort of like they took each building and they were like, oh, let's call this a castle. Oh, let's have a fire-breathing Godzilla over here. It's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of cheesy. I understand that it's supposed to be a collection of movie sets, but even so, I feel like they could have done something a little bit more innovative and something that looks a little bit more realistic. That tends to be my preference when it comes to maps. So moving on to that, after that map that disappointed me, I like to talk about the map that actually surprised me in a positive way the most, and that is going to be Encore. Now, Encore, if you remember, is the map where Vaughn was talking on the trailer about how controlling the stage and being a rock star is going to be the way to play this map. And I remember thinking, oh great, that's going to be a really open map, it's going to be really frustrating to play, it's not going to play well for domination, which is my favorite game type, and I could not have been more wrong. It has a circular layout, and although it is a circular progression that the gameplay usually follows, the points for domination are laid out in a linear fashion, so one at each spawn and then one in the middle by the stage. They could have used a triangular layout, and then it would have been quite similar to Mirage with that circular flow with the points laid out around the perimeter of the map. But stressing center control actually does make the stage pretty important, as Vaughn said. The middle is definitely very open, you want to stick to the edges, and it seems like either way, either route from A to C around the edge of the circle is a pretty good flank route, and that actually makes the map play pretty well. Now, one thing that I would have to mention is that, so there's a perch sort of up in the stage where you can cover the middle, and then there's a perch on the opposite side of the map that also overlooks the middle. And this particular window, it can look towards C flag with a very, very sharp angle, and it's almost impossible to kill someone that's sitting in there. I really feel like that maybe should have just had middle view or a middle vantage point there. Another thing that I would say is that the spawns around the A flag tend to be a little too close in proximity. I get spawned behind a lot and right next to a lot when I'm trying to take or defend that A flag, so definitely they could modify the spawn influencers there to make that a little bit better. So overall, this was the biggest surprise for me. I feel like it's actually a pretty decent map. It's not too hard to negotiate, so I'm pretty happy with it. Now, moving on from there, I'd like to talk about another map that was introduced in Uprising that also has that same circular layout with the linear flag distribution right down the middle, and that is going to be Vertigo. Now, Vertigo is sort of like a less vertical cousin of Overwatch, which, if you guys remember, was a DLC map in Modern Warfare 3. Now, what I'd like to say is that the center is a little bit of a clusterfuck in some ways. It's sort of difficult to get into position there, and a big part of that are the automatic doors. Now, one thing, there are a lot of things I hate about the map Drone, but one of them in particular is the fact that there are these automatic doors, and they're just very frustrating to negotiate. People can camp on them. They can just sit there in the middle of the map waiting for people to come through these doors. People like to snipe down those sight lines. It's very irritating. I really wish these doors were transparent. At least when they open, they don't open with that loud hissing noise that they do in Drone, and they also open faster, so you can react a little bit faster as well. As far as flanking goes on this map, I would advise very strongly not to flank around the side by where the VTOL landing pad is, and where one of the automatic doors is, which also makes that route more difficult. I would flank on the high side over by the ladder that drops down to B. It doesn't seem like many snipers or LMG users like to post up there, so you can flank around the back of their spawn, drop down to B, and there's another drop down staircase that can also take you to B, so you actually have a couple different options to get to the B flag from that route. So definitely try to run the high side on Vertigo. Overall, I think Vertigo is a pretty solid map. I've had some really good gameplays that I've put up on it, and I think it's a great addition to the map rotation in Black Ops 2. Going for the next map that I wanted to talk about a little bit is going to be Magma. Now, Magma is definitely the oddball of this map release, and the reason for that is that it's first of all the largest map. It has molten lava running everywhere, and by the way, it really should be lava, not magma. The geologist in me cries out when I hear something called magma, when magma is molten rock that is actually inside the Earth's crust, and when it comes up to the surface, that's when it's called lava. So technically the name of the map should be lava, but I'm digressing here. The reason why I think it's an oddball is, first of all, because I said it's extremely large. I think it definitely feels kind of empty and unpopulated in 6v6. It probably plays better in ground war. But the other reason is that the two flanks that run around to the left or the right, both of them are going to be extremely open and extremely easy for snipers and LMG users to sit there and pick people off. And then up the middle is also very exposed. So you may ask, is there any kind of flank at all that you can run? And it's interesting. The route that you actually want to run is you want to drop down in the middle and run under the bridge right along the lava, and that is actually a pretty efficient flanking route. Even though it's not technically a flank, it's a out of line of sight route that goes right up the middle, and then after you run up the middle, you can either split left or right depending on which side you are and which side you want to flank the guys watching the end sight lines on the flanks are. So that is a pretty unusual map. Most maps offer ways to navigate the map that go around the sides. This one, it's one that goes right up the middle if you're cautious. So I think that's pretty interesting. I did think that the lava would play a bit more of a role in this map, sort of similar to the water on Hydro, but in a way I'm glad that it doesn't, because I feel like it would be kind of irritating having your different routes cut off at different times, different random times that are difficult to predict, and this way your routes are going to be a lot more consistent. Overall, this isn't one of my favorite maps. I don't think I'd vote for it unless I was maybe in a ground war playlist. Otherwise, games rather on this map seem to be a little bit slow. And that sort of thing. Now, real quick, I want to touch on Mob of the Dead, which I've been having an absolutely fantastic time on. I would say that this map is easily worth the cost of the map pack just to get your hands on this. Set in the 1920s with all these new characters and weapons, and a really sort of intense, dark, mystical sort of feel to it. It's really good, you guys, and I would highly advise that if you haven't been playing zombies, that you should jump in with a group of guys that know what they're doing and really get to experience this new zombies map for yourself. So thank you guys so much for watching. I would say that Uprising is definitely my favorite DLC to date, surpassing Revolution in terms of how fun it is. So if you're going to invest in a map pack, I would say definitely let it be this one. Get out there, kick some ass, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.